On this episode of The Open Road, we're on location in Dunedin with Holden New Zealand, driving the brand new Commodore to Queenstown. Alright, so here we are, we're behind the wheel of the brand new Commodore, and it's a little bit interesting because I do have the lead development engineer breathing over my neck, so when we get in a different car I'll tell you what I really think. So right now I'm driving the Calais. Of course the SS has not come across because there is no longer a V8 option. I think one of the things that's distinctly Commodore has always been the road presence and the road feel between the VF, the VE, which I personally drive, which I love. Does this still hold true to what a Holden should be? And I think it does. I think that there's... Oh, let's do the power. What's this one? This is the
Calais V Tourer.
So this is a V6?
Yeah, 3.6 litre V6 all-wheel drive.
Right. So we're driving the big offering at the moment, the V6. It probably feels about the same power put down as my VES V6, but it does it in a different way. It feels like it's a bit more refined and it feels a bit more grown up. I think one of the things that I really liked about the VF model was that you feel very much enclosed in the car and you feel like you're a part of the machinery. And this sort of feels like that, but it feels a little bit more airy. Given that this car is now trying to appeal to a slightly broader market, I feel like that's not necessarily a bad thing. There are more options with the Commodore now, and it feels like it's trying to be a bit more of a do-all. I mean, one of the things that I personally really liked about the old Commodore was that it was, particularly with the SS, the SSV Redline, and of course the HSV offerings, were the fact that they were big power in a family car that was a little bit silly. This kind of feels like it has the same base, but it's a bit more refined. Obviously there's a lot of European influence in this car, but it has been very, very much tuned for New Zealand and Australia roads, as the large conversation we had last night went to show that this car has been in production, or at least in the development and theoretical phases, for what, 7 years?
Yeah, we started in 2011. This platform was chosen as the next Commodore.
So either way, this was going to be the next Commodore, whether or not the factory shut down. So this is what you were going to get anyway.
That's right.
It's, I gotta say, a lot of people that have been saying that they haven't liked what it's going to be, drive it. It feels really familiar. And the road presence, I think that's one of the big things, is you always feel like you're sort of 10 feet tall and bulletproof in a Commodore. I probably feel about 8 foot tall with some good flag vest on right now. And it's got the same kind of DNA in it. And I think that's probably one of the things that people were most afraid about. Now, putting this car through its paces in some of the most amazing roads and scenery in the country, I gotta say, this thing it's got its moments, you know, like it can handle these roads, and we're not messing about. We are testing this car, and it's doing really well. I'm very impressed. Given how different this is, given that we're in the Calais wagon, which has got the higher profile tyres and the more comfort suspension, I'd love to see how the VXR would have done on that road, because other than a little bit of brake fade coming into a tight corner, this thing has not let me down yet. And the other thing that I've also found very impressive is, as you know, I'm not a big fan of electronic power steering. However, the amount of feedback that you get from places other than the steering in this car is really good. I'm noticing all the little bits where the bitumen in the road is missing, and I can feel the surface of the road. And surprisingly, I don't know how they've done it, maybe it's magic, but I can feel something. There is a bit of response through this wheel. It's talking to me. So this video might be a little bit jumpy because we're jumping around different models throughout the drive today. Right now we're in the Calais sedan, which is the more touring orientated car. And I gotta say, it's a dream to drive. It's very easy to drive. It's very smooth and supple on the road. But it does still hold. It's quite impressive. The VXR obviously is a different beast altogether, but I would say that the Calais might be one of the more popular ones, just because New Zealand roads, New Zealand drivers, the way that most people use their Commodores, like you're either doing commuting, this is great for commuting, or more importantly, when you're driving to different towns around the country and you're eating up a couple of 100 kilometres at a time. I mean, this is going to do that well. There's one thing that is very impressive is that this is a very, very comfortable car. The seats are great, the suspension's great, I'm not feeling fatigued in any way at all, and it handles. I mean, we're going, in theory, too fast around this bend. It's just doing it. And this isn't even the sport one. Actually, let's put it into sport mode. See, look, this is overbalanced, completely overbalanced for that, and it just sucked it all up. The torque vectoring in this is true torque vectoring, which is actually really impressive, because if there's one thing I don't want a car to do is to put the brakes on for me. But I mean, we're completely overloading the suspension on the outside, and we're just dreaming through the corners. Very, very easy to drive. And I think that's probably for some people going to be a good selling point, where you're going to be able to have a car that's safe, where you can drive and never really feel like it's going to get away from you. I think the biggest trouble with this car is going to be people's perception, because, and I relate to that. I had the same thing when I first heard about it and first saw it. It's not the V8 anymore. The V6 is a good engine. It doesn't feel hugely powerful. It doesn't feel like, like super sporty or anything like that. I mean, it has sports features and it handles really well. But I think that we almost need to ignore the fact that this is a Commodore and then judge it on what it is. And if we do that, these cars are really bloody good. They're really good, and especially at the price. And that's another interesting thing, is that Holden has been really aggressive with their pricing of this car, and I'm assuming that's because they know and they are anticipating people to have reservations about what these cars are going to be, so they want to get people in at a better price point just to get them behind the wheel. When we did our presentation last night, every other word was just drive it. And that's true. I mean, my reservations about this car haven't entirely fallen away, but I'm a lot more comfortable with it now that I've got a few Ks under my belt. So having the lead engineer in the car with us for a minute there was good and bad. It was good because I learned a lot, but then also I really wanted to be able to say what I really think. And again, one of the biggest conversations that's been happening on the social media about this car has been along the lines of, is it really still a Commodore? And that's a difficult question to answer, because it really depends on what you think a Commodore is. Yeah, I feel like where Holden sees Commodore customers has kind of shifted a bit. The red-blooded sort of mullet bogans drinking Lion Red. I don't think that Holden caters for them anymore. They should buy a Trailblazer. Let me put it to you this way. If you're one of the people that bought a Commodore because you wanted a big sedan that can cruise and eat up the miles, this is still that. It can still do that. I'm very comfortable, I feel like I've got a good presence on the road. I feel very commanding. I feel very planted on the road. All of those things are still there, but it's like, I don't know, it's like your Aussie Sheila's put on a French maid's outfit or something. It's different. It's not bad, it's just different. And given what a lot of the characteristics of a traditional Holden V8 driver are, you can understand why some of these things are going to be such a change, and that change is going to be feared and almost anger against because of that fear. Personally, I've always been of the type of person that I can sit down and appreciate everything for what it is. And if we appreciate this car for what it is, it's a bloody good car. If we appreciate this car with a Commodore badge, that's different. I mean, you're obviously only paying for entry level $44,000, but the trim is still really, really good. The infotainment system's good, the dials are good, the buttons are good. It does feel like you're getting a lot of car for your money, and I appreciate that a lot. But the other thing that's probably quite good that you're only going to notice when you drive it is the build quality, in terms of there's no rattles. Everything feels nice and solid, and the doors click nicely, and that's well done, especially at the price point. like I said, they were trying to bring down the price quite dramatically, and I'm again assuming to bring in new customers and to get a hold of those people that were a bit on the fence about it. And I think that they've done a good job of making this car feel like it's worth more than it actually is. When I say that, I mean financially. Like, again, $44,000 for an entry-level car feels like easily a $60,000, $65,000 car, easily, maybe even more. And that's probably something that's quite important to a lot of the type of people that are going to buy this car now. You know, like the old owners, they didn't care. They just wanted to know, does it sound awesome? Does it go awesome? You know, does it look cool? Those were the important things. I think now with the new kind of clientele that Holden's going for, I think that having a certain amount of style and class and refinement and just having something really nice for your money, and I think that they've done a good job of that. They knew years ago that this is what this was going to be, and I think that they've probably started marketing towards that already. And that was something that I actually had a bit of a problem with, and I actually brought it up with Ed, and I was like, man, who are you marketing these cars to? Because back then we were still driving club sports, and they were advertising, you know, like the smallest little hatches that they do, and the little Astras and stuff. And I didn't get it, and I didn't like it, because I was like, this isn't Holden. And I think that that is probably what triggered a lot of what people are feeling now about this car in particular. I completely understand and relate to the passion behind what Holden was, you know. Like last time we went on a trip with Holden, we went to this museum and there was this dude and he had the, you know, business in the front, party in the back. Lovely dude, awesome dude, best museum in the country. And that guy was the epitome of Holden fans. And that kind of passion, that kind of, and the rivalry between Ford and you're taking Bathurst and you're taking V8 supercars, you're taking all of that stuff, this Commodore don't really fit that. Alright team, thanks for watching. Apologies if this video has been a bit all over the place, but we were running and gunning on this awesome trip. Thanks to Holden New Zealand for taking us on this trip. Now I guess the ultimate thing is a conclusion. Is the new Commodore really a Commodore? Now to die-hard Commodore fans, I'm probably going to say that the jury is going to say no on that one, and I would tend to agree with them. I don't think that this is the new Commodore. I think this is a beautiful car at a great price point and a really good car, but is it a Commodore? You make up your own mind. I think I would say to you what the people from Holden have said to us, and that's just drive it yourself and let us know what you think. And until then, we'll see you in the comments. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.